Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're here in the stores at Awesome, and we want to talk to you today about suspension, and in particular whether a customer should be choosing a lowering spring or a coilover, and what's the difference. So some people will know obviously the difference between a coilover and a suspension spring or a lowering spring, but today I've got my partner with me in crime, John Glover. He's our operations director here at Awesome, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about the difference between a spring and obviously a spring with a shock absorber. Pass it over to you, John.
Thank you very much. So everybody's general first suspension modification that they'll ever do with the car is going to be a lowering spring. And a lowering spring does exactly what it says on the tin. This is a spring that is designed to make your car sit at a different ride height to what it leaves the factory. Now, a lot of different brands and a lot of different manufacturers do them at different drops. This one's one of the racing line kits, and this one generally tends to drop the cars between about 20 and 25 mil, which is just enough just to reduce the arch gap that the cars tend to come with from factory. As well as just aesthetically, one of the other real benefits that you get when fitting a lowering spring is you get less body roll. Body roll is kind of the sway that you're feeling from left to right when you're changing direction.
So one of the big things that a customer always asks is, do I sacrifice a little bit of the comfort? Well, generally on a lowering spring, that's what you will do. It's not harsh, but if someone says to you that they're going to fit you a set of lowering springs and it will retain the factory comfort, that's normally not true. There'll always be
a bit of a compromise.
Yeah.
And depending how much you lower your car by with just a spring, that will depend how big that compromise is. So here with this one in the racing line kit, it's a minimal drop, so you're going to retain as much as that standard ride comfort as possible. Some other brands out there, they're going to take a car down, maybe as much as 50 millimeters. And what that does is that will actually take the standard suspension damper, which is one of these, outside of its real optimum operating range. So you think that this damper is designed to work within about this much travel. All of a sudden you lower a car 50 millimeters, and then you've only got about 20 millimeters worth of free play.
Yeah.
So when the roads get particularly bumpy, you can find that you're bottoming out the standard damper.
So there are some shock absorbers that are actually modified. So what they do is they actually shorten the actual travel of the rod by shortening the rod. I know Coney, for example, in my old days used to do that. So they would have a sport damper that was particularly a damper that had the rod shortened. Don't know if anybody else does that, John?
Yeah, the Bilstein you've got in your hand there, and they're another damper that is made to have that optimum operating range at a lower ride height than standard. The racing line kits, they do a sports damper kit to go with these. Again, they're made to work at that lower ride height.
So what you have to remember is obviously some people remove the bump stops as well for that extra travel. But if you do that and you're lowering the car, you normally have a foot valve in the bottom of some of the shock absorbers which controls the flow. If you bottom that car out too much, then obviously you have the chance of obviously smashing the bottom of the foot valve or damaging the seal, if dirt gets in, etc., etc. So there's some of the causes that will cause you to have a problem, which will mean that you'll need to replace your shock absorbers. So generally, the most popular one really is the lowering spring.
It's the lowering spring, the fantastic value for money. They're going to give you a real noticeable difference, and the majority of people who have those, they are going to be happy. Like I said at the beginning of the clip, this is your entry level suspension kit. You can move on a hell of a long way from here. We've gone into the dampers, which are designed to work at the lower ride height. Again, that's going to give you a larger improvement in the ride quality. And then moving on, really the next step of popular suspension modifications is when we go for something like this, and this is a coilover unit. Now, a coilover unit keeps the damper and the spring all as one, and that's done with a height adjustable collar, which acts as the actual spring seat. Now, you get adjustable lowering with these, so you will be able to lower the vehicle, usually from a minimum sort of drop of about 30 mil in some cases, and I think with this particular kit down to about 65 millimeters.
These actually do have a lockout screw, so if you can see there, so it's like a grub screw that obviously locks that in place.
Yeah. Now, what this allows you to do, if you're very particular about where you want the car to sit, you know, you want to get your car all stanced out and you're in a particular wheel and tyre setup and you've got wheel spacers on there, you know, you're going to really want to close that arch gap as much as you can, and that's where this kit with the adjustability allows you to do that, because just with the actual spring perch or the adjustable platform, you can raise or lower the vehicle to get it absolutely spot on where you want it.
So is that kit actually an adjustable dampering?
No, this kit is just a height adjustable kit.
So one of the big things for me is knowing what the customer requires. So
is it for looks or is it for performance?
Yeah, and also, you know, what you don't want to be doing is putting a cheap coilover kit on your RS5, your S5, your RS6. You know, you need to be making sure that you've got the right quality kit for your car. So, you know, here's a KW. I think is this variant 3? Well,
yeah.
You've got a variant 1, variant
2, variant 3, and then they do a street
Sport
comfort kit, and then you can get to some of the race application kits like the Club Sport
kit. So really, you know, it's knowing what product is suited for your vehicle. I've driven a lot of vehicles on the V3. It's slightly more expensive, but this is certainly the top of the range kit that, for me, for the fast road, that the KW.
Yeah, it comes with some very specific valve technology within that suspension, which means, you know, it's a big step up from what you would get with this kind of ride height only kit. What Mark was touching on, you know, making sure you've got the right kit, the likes of the ST one that I've got in my hand here. This is a, you know, fantastic road kit, you know, there to serve a purpose, be it for an improvement in sports handling or just for looks. If you're wanting something that's really for high performance, you know, then the next step up, you know, you really need to be looking something along the lines of the KW.
And this has the adjustability for obviously the dampering, which is
yes. On the variant 3, it's both bump and rebound adjustable, and then the actual quality of the components in that kit are completely different as well. If you have a look at this one's got a galvanized body, which again, you know, it's going to weather really well and it is going to last you a long time. They don't tend to tarnish in this day and age like they used to when coilovers first became a thing. But then the quality of the components that are used in the likes of the variant 3, where they have the stainless steel bodies, you know, they have the fancy valve technology inside them, you know, it's a huge step up and there's a big difference in price. But that price is warranted by the quality of the components that are inside them.
Good. Well, I think we've covered a little bit about suspension. Look, guys, I mean, obviously, if there's anything that you want to ask us about any of the particular kits that you've seen here, or any of that's on our website, www.awesomegti.com, which is down here, put some comments down below, and we'll get back to you with any questions that you have on any sort of coilovers or
suspension components or suspension issues in general.
Let us know which way you'd like to go and we'll give the best advice that we can for you.